We've dashed away from the farm for a few minutes to meet with Corey, master mixologist with Baker's Crust in Virginia Beach. What's Derby without a mint julep? Corey's going to show us how to mix the perfect mint julep plus another classic bourbon cocktail, the Manhattan. Let's go inside and meet with Corey. We're here with Corey. Corey, thank you so much for giving us a lesson
Absolutely.
in the perfect cocktail. Since this is Derby, we're talking about bourbon, of course. Can you tell us a little bit about what bourbon is?
So the difference between a bourbon and your whiskey is going to be, countrywide, it's going to be 51% made with corn, as opposed to your traditional mash. Huge mash of different kinds of grains and everything, but that 51% corn is what actually makes it a bourbon.
And Woodford Reserve, which just happens to be here,
Absolutely.
I believe, is the official bourbon of the Kentucky Derby.
That
So
it
we are
is.
right on cue with everything. So I guess let's start with the classic mint julep. If you can kind
Absolutely.
of walk us through how to make one ourselves at home, that'd be great.
Perfect. So you're going to start traditionally with a either highball glass, or if you have the copper mugs at home, that'd be a great bet. It keeps it nice and cold for you. We're going to start with 5 to 6 mint leaves. So we'll pop those right into the glass.
And that's for one drink.
That's for one drink. Get all that minty goodness in each one.
And should it be fresh mint? Fresh mint?
Yes, always fresh mint. If you have the option, you don't want to use any kind of fake oils or even dehydrated stuff. The fresh mint is always what's going to give you that most classic, strong mint flavor. And that's the whole reason we muddle it, is to break out those essential oils that are built into the leaves.
So we definitely don't want kind of a pre-mixed Derby syrup. And you just mentioned the word, and I think it muddles us all up. Can you tell us what muddling actually is?
So muddling, you're going to get one of these guys. You've probably seen them like they have the wooden ones or mortar and pestle kind of status. Muddling is literally just lightly bruising the leaves to release the oil. You're not there to tear the leaves into little tiny pieces, but you are there to release, like I said, all those really nice oils and flavors out of the leaves.
So there's nothing in the glass but the mint, and we're going to muddle.
That nice little couple times around.
First ingredient, your 5 to 6 mint leaves,
5 to 6 mint
and you
leaves.
muddle those in your glass.
Right. Now next up, we usually, a lot of places, a traditional mint julep is going to have a couple sugar cubes. A lot of people have kind of moved away from that. We're doing simple syrup today. Simple syrup is actually going to be a mixture, very easy to make at home. 50% sugar, just raw sugar, 50% hot water, let it dissolve, you're good to go.
And I know some folks who are, I guess I'd call them julep purists, really insist upon the sugar itself.
Absolutely.
And then there are other folks who say it's really strong or maybe has a little bit of a hard edge. Can you use something to kind of mellow it out? And I guess that's when the simple syrup comes in.
Exactly. I personally, a lot of times when you use the sugar cubes, you might end up with a little bit of graininess. I don't personally like that in my drinks, that's why I use the simple syrup. But for that, we're going to use half an ounce in there. All right, here comes the best part. So we're actually going to use some actually.
So that's just straight bourbon.
This is just straight Woodford right here.
Cheers.
So we're going to do 2.5 ounces of that. Right into the glass with the mint still in there.
And you can, you know, there are questions sometimes from folks about the type of glass, but you can just use a regular rocks
regular
glass, I guess
highball.
you could call it, or you could use your fancy schmancy julep cup.
Yeah, if you have the copper mugs at home or even the steel ones they've been coming out with lately, those always work. Fortunately, I don't have one today, so we're using the standard highball glass.
Tastes the same, though,
Exactly, tastes the same either way. Now that guy, we're just going to add our crushed ice right on top. Really want to mount it on there.
right? Okay, so then this is the final question about the julep ingredients. So I've had folks talk about, you know, just using regular ice cubes, and then other folks say absolutely not. It's not a julep without the crushed ice. So which is this, cubed or crushed?
I prefer the crushed ice for mine. I have seen it both ways. I think the crushed ice helps dilute the whiskey a little bit, so you get more of those mint flavors as well. You just have more surface area with the crushed ice, and it just, like I said, it just smells a
I
little
have to
better.
say, it smells fantastic. I don't know how it's going to taste. I'm sure it'll be good, but it smells great. It smells like Derby time.
Top it off a little bit more, 'cause like I said, you like that nice mound on top is kind of the signature look. There we go.
Classic julep looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Here we go. Delicious, absolutely delicious. I'm going to limit myself to one sip because Corey's been nice enough to show us how to make another classic cocktail. If juleps are not your favorite, I don't know how they couldn't be after the one that I just had, but also just for variety and ways that you can really use bourbon as a base in a drink, let's talk about the classic Manhattan.
Absolutely, always a good one. That's this time we're actually going to start. We use a little bit more of our crushed ice and Crust. We're going to get that nice and chilled. The colder the martini glass, the better the drink.
So what are you doing there? There's not water in a Manhattan.
There is traditionally not, but this is just to chill the glass. So that ice, again, it's going to chill the glass a lot faster than just putting it in the. You could also just put it in the freezer, but this is a bartender's trick to get it nice and cold.
So you definitely want a chilled glass.
Absolutely.
I did not know that, and I've been drinking Manhattans for quite a while, here and there, not many, but good to know. All right.
So for this guy, we're actually going to start with 2 dashes of Angostura bitters. Easy, easy, easy to find. Pretty much any ABC store or liquor store will do.
Can you talk about bitters a little bit? Because I know folks will say that they don't really need them in a drink, but other folks say, you know what, it really makes certain drinks. So do you think that that's an essential part of a Manhattan?
I do. It has that just extra little bit of aromatics just past the bitters. Gives a little bit more depth of flavor. And actually, we're going to be using 2 kinds of bitters in this one. We're going to be using a mixture of Angostura and orange. The orange really brightens up the bourbon quite well, especially with Woodford, if you ask me. Angostura is kind of your classic. You want those herbaceous notes kind of poking through there.
So we have our shaker.
Yep, we have our mixing tin.
Start with our bitters this time.
Just 2 dashes of Angostura.
And again, this is for 1 cocktail.
1 cocktail. 1 dash of our orange.
And those orange bitters, I know I see the Angostura bitters, they can be found in
Same places, yeah.
ABC
Grocery store, I've seen them. ABC store definitely have them, but the orange especially, that smells delicious.
It does smell great.
Right? So then, after we've got both of our bitters in your mixing tin, we're going to pop in. This one, we're going to do 2 ounces of our Woodford.
And this has the addition of sweet vermouth.
Sweet vermouth is what makes the Manhattan as opposed to just a traditional bourbon martini, if you will.
I did not know there was a bourbon martini.
There's not really, but otherwise without this it would be. And this time we're going to use any kind of sweet vermouth will do. I like partner vermouth. It's actually made with made in barrels with aged cherry and wine as well.
Now let me ask you if I can about vermouth. It is a wine, it's a fortified wine. Does that mean it should be stored in the refrigerator, unlike your bourbon, which can be at room temperature, or can you leave it at room temperature?
You can leave this one at room temperature, absolutely. They distill it in a way that it'll be fine, just like a red wine sitting on the shelf. All right, now that we've got that guy, we're going to put a little bit of ice into the shaker with everything. And like previously, we're going to give that a nice stir for about 10 to 15 seconds, get that nice chill going on. Get those flavors melding and help get that chill going as well.
So you answered my next question, which is shaken or stirred. I
Always
think the question
stirred.
is stirred, not shaken.
The only time you ever want to shake a cocktail is if it has citrus in it. The citrus will actually break up with the, as the air gets pushed into the cocktail. Really brighten the citrus up. Without it, there's really no reason for shaking it.
And is there such a thing as a Manhattan on the rocks, or are all Manhattans
There
served,
is.
Minus the ice once you've prepared the drink?
It's a personal preference, but I personally like it neat. But
So like a martini, you
Yeah.
can have it with ice or
yes,
without.
absolutely. Right. And we're taking that ice out, and now we're going to pour that beautiful joy right in there. And our garnish for that is going to be a brandied cherry. A lot of people use maraschino cherries or Bing cherries. I personally like the brandied. It just gives it that extra little bite to it. They got a bit almost candied and brandied.
Now where can you get that kind?
Those are a little harder to find. I actually had to go to a specialty supply store for those. But again, maraschino, Bing cherries, all of those you can find at your local grocery store would be just fine.
Looks fantastic.
Enjoy.
That is wonderful and wonderfully smooth. I can actually taste the orange.
There you go.
Corey, thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you for having
I
me.
hope that everybody gives these drinks a try and enjoys them while watching the big race today. We're really excited. See you in a few minutes for more exclusives and features for Seton's Derby event. Wow, I don't think I'll ever mix a cocktail the same way again. Special thanks to Corey and everybody at Baker's Crust for that fabulous cocktail lesson. Let's head back to the farm now for more features and exclusives for our Derby event. Be sure to watch the screen for a special word from our sponsors and for our first question in our racehorse trivia contest. Post your answer in the chat section of this event and you could win 2-for-1 tickets to next year's live Derby event on May 7th. See you in a few minutes.